Yes, people. Big games, big opinions, nothing held back. Welcome to the Football Talk Shop, where the ball does the talking. And I'm your host, Akpos. And it's World Cup qualifier settings. And with me on this one, I've got my brother, Mbizo and Zamani, that will be representing the South Africa half of the stream. This stream is going to be two-sided. One half, Nigeria. The other half, South Africa. It's the battle, the derby between Amapiano and Afrobeat. So you're welcome to the channel. And Mbizo and Zamani, as a brother, is somebody who we've talked at length about different football topic, different Pan-African topic. So I think it's right that I've got my brother with me on this one. So if this is the first time you're seeing the channel and you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification button. But good to get Mbizo, who's a ex-professional, a scout, a coach, a journalist reporting for CBS, covering all the top stories from Africa and South America. Good to have you on this one, my brother. How are you feeling? How you feeling going into the must-win encounter for both teams on Tuesday?
Yeah. Thanks for that, Akpos. What a rousing introduction there, my guy. It's always wonderful to be on here with you. You know, this is one of my favorite pages. So if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, you know the whole ordeal. My brother, look, let's be honest with each other. I won't even play with you. Me, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. It's a big one.
Bro,
like
I'm
you
nervous
said.
too.
You know what I mean? The Afrobeats Amapiano derby. I think it's one of the biggest on the continent. At least recently, I mean, in the past, obviously, it's a rivalry that's been coming for a while. Fortunately and unfortunately, both on and off the pitch,
Both sides.
But it's a big one, bro. I think it's the biggest game probably on the continent in this window. I think in this international window, it's the biggest game by far on the continent. It's such a huge decider for both nations. For different reasons, obviously, but it's such a big one, and right now, I think either team can take it. It's a question where, I mean, obviously historically Nigeria is superior, but right now, South Africa's playing some of the best football. I don't think just in Africa. I think we have one of the longest unbeaten streaks in the world, actually, behind only, I think, Spain or something like that. So we're playing good football. We're looking good. We're topping the group. But then Nigeria has all these powerhouse players. Nigeria has all these top class world superstars. And so any one moment of magic, and it can be a bang. So it's a nerve wracking one, bro. Nerve wracking.
You put it rightly, brother. And for me, going into this one, I must say I'm not confident as much as I would have loved to be, because firstly, I think we are in a very difficult situation, and we are the architect of our whole problem with respect to how we have performed so far in this World Cup qualifiers. And a lot of Nigerians are not enthusiastic about the World Cup qualification hopes right now, because when they look at the table and look at where we are currently seated, it's not something that gives us confidence. It's not something that gives us, that confidence going into hostile grounds in South Africa tomorrow against Bafana Bafana. So I think going into this game, it's also, our people will say double wahala with the injury to Victor Osimhen, who is the talisman of this team. So I think, it's been one from one. Some people will say from pan to fire. And a lot of us just want to, keep that. I think right now our World Cup qualification hope is hanging on the thin thread, and a lot of us want to just hold on to that little thread and be as confident as we can. And for me, I'm hoping that the boys will go out there in South Africa and give it their all and give it their best shot, because I've always said that when Chelle took over the Super Eagles work, he took over a messy situation. We were already in deep waters. We were already, in difficult ground. So when he took over the job, I was not I was not among those who would say if he does not qualify the Super Eagles for the World Cup, we should go on and sack him. I do not agree with that school of thought, because the managers before him, did not get the job done. We had games at home that we should have won, that would have given us, a stronger footing in the Group
Big
C
time.
standing right now. So I look at all of the mistakes we are done leading to this game against South Africa, and I shake my head on the opportunities we have missed. I think we could have been going into this game with a totally different contest, with a totally different mindset, with a totally different feeling. Because now it is a make or mark game. It's a game where if we don't get all 3 points in South Africa tomorrow, it is all over. The World Cup dream, it is good as saying bye bye. So, but
I agree.
I'll pull up the table in few seconds. But let's get your thought. When the groups were announced and you saw South Africa and Nigeria in the same group, what were your initial thoughts? Because we saw both teams lock on during the last African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast, and it was a close encounter, even though the Super Eagles of Nigeria came up on top after 90 minutes, extra times, and penalties. And shout out to the Super Eagles because they gave me victory. They gave me the bragging right over you during that encounter. So, but what were your first reaction when you saw the announcement of the groups and South Africa were in the same group as the Super Eagles of Nigeria?
Well, to be honest, my guy, I wasn't afraid, but for me it was clear that these are the two that are going to be battling for the top spot. At least at the time, that was my thinking. Is that there's no conceivable way this group can fall under anyone else's control other than South Africa or Nigeria. And I thought, even at that AFCON game, even at that I think semifinal, I thought South Africa played better football than Nigeria. I genuinely did. Obviously, Nigeria is the one that came out.
But you did not win. But you did not win.
Yes, no, of course, and I accept that, But just speaking about the brand of football, the possession, the attacking threat, I genuinely believe that right now South Africa's playing a better brand of football than Nigeria, a more attractive brand of football than Nigeria. I mean, I watched both the South Africa versus Lesotho and Nigeria versus Rwanda, and as a South African fan who has suffered for a long time, Akpos, I have suffered heavily for a long time. I can tell you with absolute certainty and pride and relief that South Africa is playing a great brand of football. We are pushing some serious ball. Our national team is playing like Sundowns. Not only because we have a lot of players from Sundowns, but I think as a nation, but I think as a nation, we're also beginning to realize what our strengths are. We are not the team that's going to compete physically with a team like Nigeria, for example.
True.
We are a team that pushes ball. We're a skillful team, clever, small, quick, nippy guys, and we've been leaning into that for the first time in a long time. We used to try to emulate the English. All English Premier League fans. So we used to try to emulate the English. We knock long. We want to knock the ball down. We look for a big number 9. Where are you going to find a big quality number 9 in South Africa? Our players are small, quick, clever, skillful, creative, and we've leaned into that. So we're playing some good football. But it's like I said again, Nigeria got the win. Nigeria has a history and a mentality of champions. They know how to get the job done, even when the football maybe necessarily isn't going the right way. So I'm always worried about the quality that Nigeria brings. I mean, on one hand, I'm sad that Victor is injured, because as a Pan-African, I want to see our best players healthy and producing in Europe, right? But on the other hand, as a South African, I'm also a little bit maybe relieved that he won't be available, because the man is a serious
I thought you were not going to give your honest assessment of that as a South African.
No, I must be honest. No, I must be honest, my brother. We know the guy is a threat. If Osimhen is on the field, there can be a goal at any time. And even when he's not scoring goals, he's just a presence. He's bringing the ball down. He's holding it up. He's winning the fouls. I mean, he's just a top-class player. So I think Nigeria will have a bigger uphill battle. But one thing is for sure, you guys will not have possession. You guys will not have possession against us. Your goals will come from maybe a moment of magic from Lukman, or a moment of magic from Iwobi, but I don't think you guys will dominate the game in the way you did against maybe Rwanda. But even against Rwanda, I thought, for me, Nigeria has too much quality to be playing these long balls and these hopeful crosses, long balls into the strike. I think they lack maybe a midfield. And I think that's the one thing that's been killing Nigeria, because the strikers are top quality. but there's no one in the midfield to construct and to create and to make sure that things are ticking and flowing. Ndidi is defensive. And who's the other chap that was partnering him against Rwanda?
And if I would come in with what your concerns in terms of the creativity in midfield, I think this is where the likes of the new Crystal Palace signing, Chrisantos Uche from Getafe, would come in into the team moving forward, because he's a very offensive-minded player. He's a player who got a good number of goals and assists last season in La Liga. And for Crystal Palace to sign him, that's to tell you that, I think is the one they brought in to replace a very offensive-minded player like Iberichi Eze. He's a player who's going to play with flair, a player who's big, strong, and, he has that style and pattern of the African kind of number 10 that we don't see that much as we have seen in recent time. And the likes of Dele Bashiru, who unfortunately injury has not let him feature as much as I would have loved in the national team setup. This is where these guys have to come in. But you are spot on with your assessment in terms of the Super Eagles midfield. That midfield is lacking in terms of a midfielder that would do more creative side. We know that we have the manpower, the likes of Wilfred Ndidi, the likes of Frank the Tank Onyenka, and what he did
in the last African Cup of Nations.
He was very combative, very aggressive. But we need more guys on the creative end of teams, more guys that would do. We are not saying, look, come and be a JJ Okocha. We know that is a generational kind of player. We are saying, come into the picture and give us something a little bit similar, like the likes of your Wilson Oruma, that come into the game, you can get a goal, you can get an assist here and there. That's, I think, what the Super Eagles midfield is currently lacking.
It's been lacking a lot. And honestly, Akpos, it's similar to the Brazilian situation, if you want to know the truth. When I look at Nigeria and I look at Brazil right now, there's similar issues, right? If you look at Brazil, top quality attackers, wingers, maybe lacking a little bit at number 9, unlike Nigeria. But in general, the forwards are the strongest part of the team. Right, Nigeria is the same way. The forwards are where Nigeria excel, and they've always excelled in that forward final third part of the field. Right, but if you look at Brazil, they are lacking that number 10 and creator to the point where they're now taking Rafinha and trying to bring him into the middle at number 10 to do the job. For me, Lucas Paqueta is not good enough. Not good enough. So you're lacking, and then they have many defensive midfielders. So it's just like Nigeria, where the defense is quite strong, the attack is good, but they lack balance and creativity in the middle of the field in order to allow the team to tick. Someone who can receive the ball from the defenders, right, and then spray it out to these quality forwards, receive it back, and link the play. There isn't a player like that, really, who's quality at it. And I'll be very honest, this might be an unpopular opinion, especially among Super Eagles fans. But for me, Alex Iwobi is not good enough to play that number 10 position internationally for Nigeria. Has he done the job? He has. He's always there when he's called upon. He's been disciplined. He's been available. I think he deserves respect and to be commended for always giving his all for Nigeria. Iwobi. I think that's been brilliant about him. But I don't think he's good enough. He hasn't been able to do the job at that number 10 role that Nigeria needs to give impulse to the team, right? And I've never been a big fan of his football, frankly. Even in the Premier League, even when he was doing well.
And you have made that known over time.
I've made that known. You know me, right? And I say this all, of course, very respectfully. So. But yeah, so let's see how it goes, brah. But to be honest with you, the thing I'm more worried about is the double whammy of losing to Nigeria and getting the 3 points taken away potentially, right? For fielding.
We will get there in a minute with respect to the situation with Mamelodi Sundowns midfielder Teboho Mokoena and the suspension and how South Africa fielded him, because my South African brothers, they've not let me rest since I made that video talking about him. Even on this channel where I posted the video, someone has been coming at me. My brothers, all I'm saying is FIFA, please do the right thing. Saying FIFA, the apex football body, to asking them to do the right thing, I don't think that's bad. That's what I said. All I said.
It's very fair. It's
Yeah,
very
if you want
fair.
to
And
win,
like you know,
for me, if you want to win, win fair and squarely, in my opinion.
you
So
have to follow the rules. You have to follow the rules. And for me,
exactly.
you know me, my anger is not towards Nigerians asking about, hey, what's up, FIFA? My
Yeah,
anger
yeah.
is with the self-sabotage of South Africans. It's such a typical thing for us to be doing well. Things are going well. Everything is going well. And a silly, silly mistake, inattentiveness. This is something that several officials, several people at the club should have been aware of. Do you know what I'm
Mm,
trying to say? Like at this
mm,
level, these aren't the kind of mistakes that should be happening for me. I'm sorry. You know, even at amateur level, you should be having people that are aware of
yeah.
these kinds of things. You know what I mean, how can some fans have been aware of it, and you, the federation, the coaching staff, the team, and so on, aren't aware of it? So for
Mm,
me, if they take the 3 points away, it's only a logical decision. But this is why it's even more critical to beat Nigeria. Because if we win
yeah.
against the Super Eagles, even if they take the 3 points away, I
It does not
think
matter. Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I think we're still safe. However, if we lose, then the position becomes a little bit more precarious. It doesn't
True.
mean we won't finish top of the group. It just means there's a little bit more pressure. It means there's a little bit more importance in every game moving forward. But I think even a tie against Nigeria, I think is still relatively favorable. But I think we should go for the jugular. We should go for the win.
Mm.
You know.
Well, for me, I made my thoughts with respect to the situation, known on the videos I posted on the channel. For me, I want FIFA to do the right thing. And you talked about you channeling your anger, your consent to the right body, the appropriate body, which in this condition are the administrators, people behind the scene who should have kept track of this information. And it takes us
Mhm,
back to, I think, a common problem among African teams where we see
mhm,
things like this happen time and time over the last couple of years. It happened to Nigeria in 2017, where we
mhm,
fielded
mhm,
a player who was supposed to be suspended. But luckily for
mhm,
us, we were already we had already qualified for the 2018
mhm, mhm,
World Cup, so it did not really matter much. And I think it's a wake-up call for all the FAs, for all the football
mhm,
bodies, the football
mhm.
administrators, and the team managers, people who should keep track of this data, of this metric, to do their job properly and not try to make the work even more difficult for the guys who are on the pitch. So but let's take a look at the table as it stands right now.
Yeah.
And for me, this is not the pleasant sight as a fan of the Super Eagles, as a Nigerian, because it's a shame that after 7 games played
Yeah.
in Group C, we have just 10 points. And if you look at the wins, we have 2 wins out of 7. And that, in my opinion, is shambolic. That, in my opinion,
It's
it's nothing to write home
shocking.
about for a country, for a footballing nation that is as big as the Super Eagles, for a team that is blessed with so much talent, for a team that currently holds the last 2 African Footballer of the Year. This kind of
Mhm,
results,
mhm.
this kind of standing is bad, in my opinion. And I think, especially our games at home where we failed to win, actually contributed to
Yeah,
what put us here, because we went to
yeah.
Rwanda during the last international window and we got a win at Amahoro Stadium in Kigali, and eventually we finally got 1 win at home. So I think we shot ourselves in the foot, and we have not done a good job at all in this World Cup qualifiers. And the players also need to take blame. They need to take responsibilities. We blame the managers that handled the team before Eric Chelle took over. But the players also, I think, they did not do a good job at all with respect to the World Cup qualifiers. We saw how, they qualified swiftly during the AFCON qualifiers. I think they should have done, something pretty much in that style. And
Mhm.
I don't go into tomorrow's game with full confidence that we'll go to the World Cup. I said at the right start of this stream that our hopes of World Cup qualification is hanging on a thread, and everything depends on what happens tomorrow in South Africa. We need to
Yeah,
go to South
yeah.
Africa and get all 3 points. But what's your take from the South African angle now? Looking at the table right now, with South Africa at the top of the summit, I know you are excited. I know you go into this game with more confidence that I would go into the game with. You go into the game with some security. than me, for me personally, as a Nigerian,
Mhm.
as a fan of the Super Eagles, would go into the game with. But what's your thoughts about, South Africa's standing and how it would count in the game tomorrow in terms of also the psychological aspect of the game?
Yeah,
Because you
yeah.
also are a professional coach.
Yeah, I think Akpos, I think that's the part that worries me, is the psychological aspect. We're playing quality football. We have top quality talents. I
Mm,
mean, the PSL is a top league, professionalizing more and more by the day. I think what we're doing so well on the continent, we're producing footballers and coaches. If you look at South Africa right now, we're exporting coaches even quite a lot across the continent and to other parts of the world, the Middle East and so on. In America, we have a lot of coaches. So South African football isn't actually in a very good place, right? But I still worry that our recent, especially our recent history, hasn't been particularly successful. And so I'm worried about the psychological fortitude, the mental and emotional fortitude of our players if we lose this game. If
yeah,
we lose this game, that added pressure, that scratchy feeling in the back there, that potentially we could capitulate, potentially we could give up this lead, and all of a sudden we're in a dogfight. It's something that's in the back of every South African fan's mind. Despite our happiness and relief to be sitting on top of the group, we know our history. Plus, we've done this before. We've been in situations where it's like, look at us, we should qualify. Look at us, it's
yeah.
going well, we're good, we're fine, both for World Cup and for AFCON, and then it hasn't happened. And then all of a sudden we're bringing out the calculators to see, hey, if we've given up this goal and this goal, what's happening? And so, listen, we're traumatized. We don't want to go back to this thing. So even for me, right? I mean, I'm just, in this case, I'm just a fan. I'm a journalist and so on. I'm outside of the camp, but
Yeah, yeah.
even for me, there's this scratchy feeling. So it's not beyond me to believe that some of these players, some of these staff members, they have that scratchy feeling as well. That worry that sits deep in the back of your mind, that what happens if we lose? What happens if Nigeria wins 4 straight? Right? These kinds of things, they're there. But like I said, on the balance of scales, even Super Eagles fans must be honest with themselves. South Africa deserves to be at the World Cup more based on the qualifiers. South Africa has played better football. South Africa has been more consistent, right? And based on what we've seen, South Africa would uh, make a better account of themselves at the World Cup than Nigeria, based on what we're seeing now. But again, it's whoever gets the job done. That's what it comes down to. Whoever finishes top
Exactly,
goes. If you
exactly.
don't finish top, you don't go. That's where it ends. So I just hope that South Africa can, no matter what happens next
Mm,
game, South Africa can keep their cool, ice in the veins, and get the job done. But like I said, I watched us against Lesotho. Not a top team,
Lesotho.
not a great team, but we played good football. Akpos, we look good. We control the tempo of the game. Our players look confident on the ball. They're stroking the passes around. We're keeping possession. We look good. We're playing the kind of football, for me, that South Africa should have been playing all along. All these years. In fact, there was a time I think we might have even had better players and should have been playing like this, but we weren't.
Mm,
You see, so finally, I think we're starting to look like ourselves. And the truth is, we seem to play. If you looked at how Sundowns performed in the World Club Cup, our
yeah, yeah.
players are beginning to play like that, no matter who the opposition is. Sundowns dominated the ball for large spells against top teams in that World Club Cup, and I think that confidence, that self-esteem, it's seeping into our national team now. It's going into our national team, and it's a huge positive for us. So I think for South Africa to qualify for the World Cup will also be like the reward, that light at the end of the tunnel, a reward
Mm,
for the quality of work that's been done across the board in South Africa. So
yeah.
that's the way we see it, bro. It would be, just to get to this big dance would just be, it would be a big reward. It would be like, yes, this is what we've been working towards. This is what we
Mm,
needed to happen for our game. And hope that from there we can continue to grow and produce stars like Nigeria produces. Obviously, the
mm,
contexts are different. With the quality of the Nigerian league, it's always best probably for players to leave and go to Europe and so on and so forth, which is the context is a bit different. But still, as a South African, I'd like to see our players as well at these big clubs in Europe. I'd like to see them at these top clubs in the Premier League, just like the Nigerian players. I'd like to see that.
And I think if I would add to the point you're trying to make now with respect to South African players going to play for top club, you highlighted one of the players that started against Lesotho, I think is a midfielder, and you were talking about how Manchester United could keep their eye on a player like that now before a club like Brighton comes to pick him up, and in the next couple of years Manchester United goes knocking for his door and Brighton said, okay, you want to sign our gem, bring 80 million pounds or 100 million. I think these clubs need to come down here and scout these guys now when it's not going to cost them all the amount they are spending when the player becomes the finished product or becomes the next big thing for all the big clubs to go into, a battle for. So I think it would do them more good to come to get these guys now because we have a lot of gem down here. We have a lot of players who are playing, fantastic football and who are playing so much better than some of the players we are watching week in, week out in the Premier League. If you want to argue with me, argue in the comment section. I'll be right there. But shout out to my brother Sesetu. Big up Sesetu. Thank you very much for your kind feedback, and I hope you've subscribed to the channel. And shout out to you, Mbizo. Sesetu is bigging you up here for your fantastic contribution on the stream. And my brother Mbizo has also got his channel, Afro Joga. That is the name of his channel. And you can also look him up on the different social media platform at Mbizo Nzamani, where he's doing fantastic work, putting Africa on the map and doing a lot of reporting work on African football and South America football for CBS. But I would love to talk a little bit about the injury to Victor Osimhen, because I think this is one of the key talking points going into the game. And when Victor Osimhen went down during the game against the Mavobis of Rwanda, bro, the first thing that came to mind was we have South Africa on Tuesday. We need Osimhen in that game. That was the first thing that came to mind. I was not concerned about the opposition in front of me, which was the right thing to be doing at that point in time. The first thing that came to mind was, please, I beg Osimhen, don't be injured in this one. But it seems the Rwanda defenders, they got their job done. It seems like it was planned, because we know that if you want to face Nigeria, there's one player that you would not want to perform on the day is Victor Osimhen, because he's going to give his 110% each and every time. And that injury, in my opinion, is a big blow. It's a big blow for the Super Eagles, because we are going to be without our talisman. But on hindsight, I want to say it's also an opportunity for someone else to step up to the plate, because we have a lot of talent in that squad in terms of the squad depth. I think this is an opportunity for somebody else to step up that would say, okay, look, the big guy is not here, but the show has got to move on. The party still needs to continue. We still need to go to South Africa and get all 3 points. And it's more looking likely that the new Wolverhampton Wanderers striker, Chelle Arokodare, is going to start in the absence of Victor Osimhen, because he has shown what he could do, what he can do. We saw what he could do. We saw what he did against the Warriors of Zimbabwe in Uyo when he came on late into the game and got us the goal. But fortunately, Zimbabwe pegged one back. And we also saw how the substitution that Coach Eric Sekoshile made during the game against Rwanda, bringing him into the game, and it got the winner for us. So I think it's going to go into this game with a lot of confidence, and I am happy that I got that goal. Going into this game with the Bafana Bafana of South Africa. And I think, Hugo Broos will be talking to his defenders right now and be telling them that, look, you need to keep this guy quiet, because he's also a physical monster. When you look at the style of play and try to compare him with Victor Osimhen, he's also very strong physically, tall, and
big guy.
The perfect kind of, the African kind of number 9 who is going to use their physicality, come with their strength, good aerially, and it's also good in front of goal. So I think this is an opportunity for other players to step up going into that game. And Ademola Lookman, for me, is somebody I'm hoping that he will step up in this game and he could potentially get a goal assist. But I think there is also the battle on the pitch, but there's also the battle off the pitch in this game, where South Africa will be playing in front of their own crowd. It's going to be hostile environment, and you talk about how good the South Africa team are playing. I must confess. I know I've said it, a couple of times to you guys and the boys on the chat, that I was impressed with what South Africa did at the last AFCON.
Yeah.
When we scored and how you responded, I was impressed. I know, I bantered you guys. We won the game and all. Yes. But I loved that South Africa. They gave us a fight. They gave us a run for our money. And our players, they would also agree with what I've said now with respect to how the South Africa team put up a fight in that game. But I'm just hoping that, all of the off-field issue, all of, the failures that this team has failed leading to this game against South Africa, we'll put it behind us. Because after South Africa and Benin Republic won, during my preview show on my other channel, I was like, what kind of mood would be in the camp right now? Because that result, South Africa beating Lesotho, Benin beating Zimbabwe, was not good. I think that would have dropped the morale of the players a little bit. But, the team responded in a way that I would have expected them to do, with how, they got on. It was not a fantastic performance. I will not come here and say the performance
was not a good performance.
Super Eagles. No, but we won the game. We got the job done. I think that was a game where we needed to get the win and not focus too much on the performance. And this is something also I would, try to take over to the South African game. We don't need to go to South Africa and want to be South Africa 3-0. No. A win is the win. For me, I want us to be, right game management kind of mindset. If we go one go up, go two go up, we should not underestimate the South African team. We saw how they put up a fight against us during the last African Cup of Nations, and I think that should be a stern warning for us, and a reminder that this South African team, if you underestimate them, they are going to make you pay. So for me, Coach Eric Sekoshile, he needs to go into this game with the right formation, the right mindset, and it needs to go into this game. And for me, from the start, we need to attack South Africa. We can't let you guys have a free run with the possession.
If we get the ball,
Exactly. You talked about how you would want to keep the ball, but we cannot let the South African team have too much of the possession, because they might make you pay. They can make you pay. Players like Mokoena, they don't need to get very close. They don't need to get into the box before they can ping one from outside the box, and it could be in the back of the net. So I think we need to come out and give you guys a run for your money, and also try to make sure that we prevent South Africa from putting the ball on the ground, because that's where your strength is in the South African team. You want to put the ball on your feet. You want to play short passes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think Akpos, you're breaking up a little bit, so I'll take over from what you're saying there. I think that's exactly the approach that Nigeria has to have. Nigeria has to come in and use their physicality, use their pace. Again, top quality players with lots of individual brilliance. So look to say, how do we bring out the best of these individual players? Because as a unit, I don't think the Super Eagles are playing as well as Bafana Bafana. And so that's the approach. Because again, if Bafana puts the ball on the ground and begins to play, I think Nigeria will have a tough time. But again, as a Bafana Bafana fan, I worry about, for example, our ability to deal with set pieces. This hasn't always been our strong suit. Dealing with set pieces, dealing with the ball in the air against big players, strong players like the ones Nigeria boasts. And really, that's the way that we lost in the AFCON semifinal. Again, Akpos spoke about how, despite giving up a goal, we were able to respond and so on and so forth. But, Nigeria has the quality to put us under pressure and probably will. Okay, my brother Akpos has returned. Let me finish your point there. Akpos was just taking over from your thoughts.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. Sorry for that break in transmission. It was some technicals, and hopefully we'll have the rest 5 minutes of the show very smoothly. I've eaten too much into my brother's time. He's got a lot of things packed on his schedule today. But we have over 21 people watching the stream currently. Please leave us a like, leave us a comment. What are your thoughts going into this game? Who do you think will come out on top? Are you supporting South Africa? or are you supporting the Super Eagles of Nigeria? Who do you think will get all 3 points in this must-win encounter? And also, if you've not subscribed to the channel, please leave us that subscription. Hit the like button also. And you can also subscribe to my brother's channel, Joga Afro. I will put the link on the description on this video after the stream for those who are going to be doing a recap. But I want to touch about Hugo Broos. I think this is one person who I think like you've been critical when South Africa have not played to their strength. What are your thoughts going into this game, and what will you be expecting from him? Also, from a coach's perspective, what kind of game plan do you think Hugo Broos will be going into this game against Nigeria tomorrow?
Akpos, yeah, I have been kind of critical of Broos, less because of the football on the pitch and more because of some of the things he says in interviews and some of the attitudes he displays. I think some of the things he says are Eurocentric and condescending. I mean, he says things like, for example, he said one time, he said, yeah, one of the things I love about Johannesburg, I love about living in South Africa is it reminds me of Belgium. It's like Brussels. Johannesburg is like Brussels. No, Johannesburg is not like Brussels. Johannesburg is like Johannesburg. It's a beautiful city, and African cities can be beautiful. Just because they look good, it doesn't mean they are European. You know what I mean? So there's a couple of things I don't like about the things that he says and the way he talks, and he's a bit condescending. But the results on the pitch have spoken for themselves, and I think he's earned the respect of many South African fans because of the results and because of the football we're playing. And I think some of us, we still have a couple of criticisms here and there about some of the teams and players that he puts out there. We believe that there have been a couple of opportunities, maybe in friendlies, also against weaker opposition like Lesotho, where maybe we should have been playing some of our younger players who have potential to be superstars, like Mufokeng. Right? This is really has the potential to be a top quality player. He has the potential to play in your Premier Leagues and in your Spanish leagues. I mean, a top quality prospect. So we believe players like that should have been getting more opportunities. From time to time, some of the selections are questionable, but the results have spoken for themselves. So we're confident in his ability to go out and pick the correct team to get the results necessary and to see this through. I think that's one of the reasons why we're confident. We finally believe that we have a coach who's consistent as well, by the way. All his selections, even if we may have a problem with one or two selections, we all see the team sheet and we're like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. This is Broos. You know what I mean? There's an identity. There's a consistency and identity to the team. Low turnover, because that's also something that's difficult for teams. When you're constantly every international window, it's a different set of 20
chopping and changing. Yeah.
It's difficult to create continuity. It's difficult for these players to create chemistry and to be able to work hard as a unit. So the less players that are in this rotation as well, I think the more positive it can be. There should be players in this rotation. Players should be given opportunities. There should be a bit of experimentation, but not enough to destabilize the collaboration that and the chemistry that players are trying to create moving forward. So I think we're satisfied with what we're seeing. Probably the best performing Bafana team we've had in a long time. Consistent, like I said, we're over 20 games unbeaten or something like that in regulation play or something like that. I mean, we're doing well. I'm not sure exactly what the statistics are, but we are doing well. So let's see what happens. But for me, we just cannot lose. I will accept a tie, a share of the spoils, but we cannot lose. We cannot lose at home. We cannot lose in this final stretch. We can't begin to unravel and lose the plot for the love of God, So that's where we are. But Akpos, I won't sleep well tonight. I won't sleep comfortably. I'll be tossing and turning until that 90 minutes is over. I won't be okay. We don't lose, by the way. Even if we lose, let's just get it out the way so that we can move forward from this damn thing. So let's see, bro. Let's see.
My brother, I share your concerns totally. Going into that game, I would say I would repeat what you've said, but but in different colors, I would say the Super Eagles of Nigeria cannot lose that game tomorrow for bragging rights, for for a lot of reasons, for going to the World Cup, for because I was saying on my on my Instagram the other day that it would be a scene of shame that we would have back-to-back African Footballers of the Year, and we'll go into a World Cup qualifier, and we would not be able to get out of the group and make it to the World Cup, where players like Victor Osimhen should be, going head-to-head with the best strikers in the world and trying to show them that I am in your level at the World Cup. So for me, I think we need players like Victor Osimhen. Mbizo, can you just take over for a minute? My little one is here.
Yeah, all right, brother. Do it. All right, guys. I guess we're gonna have to wrap up anyway. All right, but you know what, Akpos, let me say one thing. I think that's important to say, for a number of different reasons. But as you know, I actually do have Nigerian heritage as well. So I identify as a South African, of course, but I do have Nigerian heritage. So for me, the dream scenario here is South Africa qualifies, nice and easy, boom, gone. Nigeria somehow sneaks themselves into the playoffs. You know what I mean? Sneaks themselves into the playoffs, win this stupid playoff, and then I can have Super Eagles and Bafana Bafana both in the World Cup.
Both sides.
Yeah, that for me would be the dream scenario.
You want to eat your cake and have it. You want to eat your cake and have it, but bro.
Why can't I have it all? I want it all.
On the flip side, Nigeria goes to South Africa tomorrow, beats South Africa there in South Africa, qualifies. South Africa follows Nigeria closely behind and goes to the playoff and qualify through the playoff route, and we have both South Africa and Nigeria. I think you can have your cake there, but because
you know what,
for me, we know the flip. We know the playoff route is very difficult. It's going to be very difficult. I think it's going to be 4 teams from Africa. The 4 teams will face each other. One team come out and will now go to the continental. I think it's going to be tedious. A tedious route in our opinion. And and it's a shame that the Super Eagles right now will be keeping an eye also in that as that on that route as one potential way to go to the World Cup when we could have made it so much easier for ourselves. But this prediction is coming from my brother Sunday Itebo. He says his prediction is against South Africa game tomorrow is in favor of Nigeria. Hopefully Nigeria will nick it, my brother. Hopefully we pray. Inshallah, we pray Nigeria will nick it tomorrow. Hopefully, but before we wrap it up, I know I've eaten too much into your time, my brother. It's been a fantastic stream. It seems like the conversation should not end because it's been free flowing. We know that there's still a lot of talking points. Hopefully, after the game, we'll be able to come back here and give our thoughts on the events from the game, on the talking points, and also congratulate whoever comes out victorious at the end of the day, because win or lose, the show continues, the sport continues. So but going into the game tomorrow, for me, I just want to see the Super Eagles of Nigeria team go out there and make us proud. I want to see them fight for every ball. I want to see them try to bring the Nigerian fans back into the fold, because like I said at the start of the show, a lot of Nigerians are not enthusiastic about the Super Eagles right now. And for me, I think it's rightly justified. We've seen the Super Eagles, as we say it in Nigeria, fall people's hand time over time. They've disappointed the fans time over time, and the Super Eagles need to go out there in South Africa and try to make a statement. But which player, before we wrap up the show, which player do you think will be key for South Africa tomorrow if they are to get the job done?
Brother, I think we have maybe 2 or 3 players that really need to have top quality games for us to do damage. I'm not a huge fan of Lyle Foster, but he was superb against Lesotho. He was wonderful. So I think we rely on him again to do well. He's talismanic for us in a way, probably our highest profile player. So if he can play the way he played against Lesotho, against Super Eagles, we have a huge chance of getting the job done. And then also in our midfield, I think Tebo Mokoena is key. And the player that we were talking about earlier, that is the kind of player Brighton comes and picks up and sells to Man United for 80 mil, is Talente Mbata. I thought he was superb against Lesotho. I think he's a quality player, both sides of the ball. So if our midfield can function well, the way they have been functioning, keeping the ball, pushing ball, sharing it, and then allow Foster create the opportunities up front and bang the opportunities that are created for him, then I think we have an opportunity. And then our defense just needs to stay awake and aware, because Nigeria has the quality to at any moment have a moment of magic. But Ndotana, we should both qualify. But Mzansi for sure. We're gonna enter there, my boy.
But big up to my brother Modana, big up. One love, my brother. Shout out to all the South Africans in the chat. Shout out to also all the Nigerians in the chat. We know the game brings us each and every time so much closer, and hopefully both teams are going to find one way or the other to get qualified into the World Cup, and we'll both be sharing our teams on during the biggest stage of the round letter game. But it's been a fantastic one, my people, and this show would not be a success without each and every one of you. Sesetu, Sunday, Kelly, Modana, shout out to everybody who dropped the comment, everybody who would leave us a like. My brother, coming.
I want to just send also a message to all, if you're a football fan or not, all Nigerians and South Africans. You people, we're brothers, huh? We're family in this life thing. We're family in this Pan-African thing. Okay, so all nonsenses aside, no matter who wins, no matter what happens on and off the pitch, we're brothers. Please, I just wanted to say that last one. Big love, love to all my Africans.
Exactly. Because each and every time when I put out content out there, I think when I put out the South Africa content on TikTok, I got some old style comment from some South Africans, but I also got love from also some South Africans, and we bantered back and forth, and a lot of them were even, following my TikTok page. So shout out to every South African fan. We know we want to banter. We know we want to drag. We know we want to get all 3 points. But the battle stops after 90 minutes on the pitch, and we can all celebrate. Yeah. We can all, drink some beer. We can all eat some jollof, eat some sadza. We can all, vibe to Amapiano. Exactly. Vibe to Amapiano. Vibe to Afrobeat after the game. But shout out to every South African fan. Shout out to everybody who has made this show a success. And you can also support my brother's work on Joga Afro. You will see the link on the description of this post. And you can find him at Mbizo and Zamani on all the different social media platforms. And you can find me at Akpos Football Creator, Akpos_810 on Instagram, where I'm dropping premium football content. But today's show will not be a success without each and every one of you. And if you're doing a rewatch or you're watching right now and you're not subscribed to the channel, please turn on that subscription button and leave us a comment, leave us a like. Let's push this video Africa to the world, and hopefully tomorrow, may the best man win, and hopefully may the best man also go over to represent Africa at the World Cup, because all we are talking about right now is who would represent Africa at the biggest stage of the round leader game. So hopefully the best man will win tomorrow, and the best man will go over to represent, fly the African flag, because that's the one flag that covers all of us, each and every one of us. So it's been a fantastic one, my brothers. Hopefully after the game, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it's going to be convenient for the professor, we'll bring him also on the stream, and we will come back here to give our thoughts, our one kobo, our 1 cent about all the talking points from the game, and congratulate whoever becomes the winner. And I like this one coming from Toga. He said, Big up Toga. Big up Modana. I said, we are one family. We are all family. Let's spread love. Let's continue to preach the African story. And this one is also coming from Modana. Siblings banter each other. Exactly. As brothers, we can banter, we can fight, and make up immediately. And this one is coming from my brother Sester to say, true, my brother, we really struggle with free kicks. But He's hoping that the height of the top players in the South African team will be able to, shut down the Nigerian long balls. And hopefully we'll put in a lot of long balls, because we have a 6'6" striker in Tolu Arokodare, who is going to cause a lot of problems when it comes to the area threat. Yeah. But fantastic one, Mbizo. One last word from you before we wrap up this fantastic conversation, this fantastic stream between brothers, and foes tomorrow during 90 minutes.
Nothing much from me, Akpos. Just want to thank everybody who was in the comments, everybody who's watching. If you're watching retrospectively, thank you for your time and attention. And may the best man win. We'll see you guys after the game.
Yeah, big up my brother Modana. Can't wait to see you after the match. But my brother Mbizo, thank you very much. It's been a fantastic one, my people. Stay safe out there and remain Akpos. And we'll catch you guys after the game for our post-match analysis, for our review. Bye, my people.